Negotiations are underway for Christine Blasey Ford to speak with the Senate Judiciary Committee next week. Ford is accusing Judge Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault. On Friday, President Trump criticized Ford by name and questioned her story. The president tweeted that, quote, "I have no doubt that if the attack on Dr. Ford was as bad as she says, charges would have been immediately filed with local law enforcement authorities by either her or her loving parents. I ask that she bring those filings forward so that we can learn date, time, and place." Our Caitlin Huey-Burns summarized the developments this way in a story for CBSNews.com Friday. Quote, "Republicans thought they were winning the Kavanaugh argument. Then Trump tweeted." So let's bring in CBSN political contributor Michael Graham in Boston. He's the politics editor for NHJournal.com and a columnist for the Boston Herald. Michael, so great to see you. He was seeming so disciplined at the beginning of the week, yes. Michael. So are the president's tweets now complicating Republicans' arguments in the case of Judge Kavanaugh and his accuser?
It's not complicating the arguments, it's complicating the politics. And, you could see the power of the shackled Trump this week as a story that started off where it appeared that early on there was going to be a total rush to judgment. There was going to be no consideration even of what the facts are or what we do or don't know in this case. It was just, it's going to get so ugly that Republicans have to abandon Kavanaugh. Well, the Republican base, I will tell you, did not want that to happen. By Trump being quiet, it allowed, the Republicans on the Senate and the facts or lack thereof to become revealed. And so the bigger, context of it all, what we know, what we don't know, how far can you go with an accusation that has literally no substantiation at all, that changed the lay of the land. And I think the talk about negotiating over testifying, all because Trump let the conversation go on. As soon as Trump touches the keyboard and starts type, the oxygen starts getting sucked out of the room, and it all becomes about Trump. And one more thing about President Trump, too. By staying out of it, he let people think about what we know and we don't know in the context of the facts. As soon as you say Trump, things get radioactive on both sides. One group of people say it's 100% right. One group say it's 100% wrong. This situation is already so ugly, so difficult, so fraught. And now Trump has intervened. The hope is that it's now so late, though, that people have kind of a chance to think about it. Maybe he can't mess it up too badly.
Right. Well, we will see about that. Now, of course, one sticking point between Ford and the Judiciary Committee is whether Republican committee members or female staff lawyers will lead the questioning. Is this just about optics, Michael, or is more at stake here?
I'm sorry, I'm a former political consultant. You say just optics as though there's something else. I'm sorry, what is this other thing? Of course it's about optics. And if we're going to talk about the optics, we have to talk about something that, it's difficult to get around. You don't accuse somebody of a truly heinous act, announce that you're prepared to talk about it, and then withdraw and then start negotiating about how you're going to talk about it. And I will give you the most powerful argument I've heard. It comes from an expert, my wife, who doesn't follow politics. She has a fertilizer detector that's just amazing. And when she heard that the lawyers actually want Brett Kavanaugh to be forced to speak before the accusation is made, that just... You're going to lose a lot of people who are trying to be open and trying to say we don't know when you make a ridiculous request like that.
Right. I guess, the last word is what everybody wants, right?
Well, that's not the last word. This is different. You can't respond to an accusation without the accusation. This is the old Soviet system of you would take the person in, sign your confession. What did I do? We'll worry about that later. You'll sign your confession. It's interesting. There's a basic feeling of justice. And one of the things that's driven the Me Too movement, I think, very well is that there were people who said, I can't believe this. Everybody knows this guy does this. How can he get away with it? And so Me Too addressed that. And it's it wasn't even a sense of what was legal or illegal. Some of the stuff that Harvey Weinstein did wasn't illegal. It was just disgusting.
Right.
But that was this appeal for justice. Now you're seeing that turned on its head, where people who are completely willing to hear the accusation and be willing to say, I don't know what happened. Who knows what happened? I'm willing to open. Their sense of justice is violated when you say you have to defend yourself before you even know what it is you're accused of.
Good point, Michael. So how would you characterize Democrats' message on Kavanaugh? As a political strategist,
Sure,
are they doing
exactly.
a good job?
And this is all politics. Once again, I want to say that 100%.
Right.
Someone brilliantly wrote for CBS News, I don't want to name anyone, that the Democrats had a problem here because of their previous behavior. Everyone's focused on the way they've handled the allegations, and they really have done a disservice to Dr. Ford, sitting on the allegations, not telling anyone. Last I heard, they still haven't given an unredacted copy of the letter to the chairman, Senator Grassley. But forget that. They created a problem before when they decided that they were going to kind of approach these hearings in a very theatrical way, in a way that highlighted that the decision had been made. They were just there to block Kavanaugh. They were not interested in listening. And so you had these I am Spartacus moments. Then you have the strange moment where Senator Kamala Harris tried to read Kavanaugh. I think you're thinking of someone, That just lent the notion that the Democrats weren't serious with this, that they were prepared to do stunts and gamesmanship. And I've heard that phrase used from a couple of Republican women, the phrase, why are you playing games? And the fact that they started with games, whether it's fair or not, whether they are 100%, this allegation is 100% true, it just makes it easier for people to believe, this isn't really about getting the truth, this woman, this is about games. And the Democrats did that to themselves before this story broke.
All right, so we're going to move off of Kavanaugh now, believe it or not, and move to the other big story of the day. The New York Times says Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein suggested secretly recording the president and even talked of invoking the 25th Amendment, all of which he is, of course, now denying. But what kind of case does the president now have for firing his deputy attorney general?
Well, the working theory from the smart people that I've heard from is that this was an attempt by people who don't like the president, possibly Andrew McCabe, who's already facing charges for lying about what he did during his time as the assistant director of the FBI, to try to get Trump to fire Rod Rosenstein and then launch a crisis. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even sure at this point if there would still be a crisis. There'd be a crisis in the media. CBS News would have a crisis. New York Times would have a crisis. But I'm very frustrated with this because you want processes to go forward. President Trump constantly messing with the process it has done no one any favors. He's undermined belief in the rule of law, and he didn't need to because the facts about what's going on inside the FBI from Lisa Page and Bruce Orr and Peter Strzok are so bad that they undermine. Andrew McCabe was helping run things, and he's facing charges. It's like the president saying that tweet on the Kavanaugh case. If he had stayed out of this, we would be in a different spot. But I will say that for the Trump base and for, I think, a widening group of people, this story is either a conspiracy, which is what this Rosenstein allegation feeds, or it's gotten so complicated and so messy that they can't even keep track anymore. I think for a lot of voters, it's a pox on both houses. And I will say this, not a single Republican congressman will lose a seat because of the Russia investigation. And I would not have said that a year ago, 6 months ago, not one. Now, they may all lose their seats anyway because things are having so many other political problems. But no one will lose a seat because of this. And on that point, Democrats have lost. In fact, if you look at both of these attacks, I would say right now, unless something breaks, both the Kavanaugh story, which looked so politically dangerous for Republicans a few days ago, and the Russia story are going to end up really not having an impact on what happens in November. And that would be pretty amazing. So,
Michael, what are the issues you think that are going to impact the midterms then?
I still see polling data again and again that says how you feel about Trump is going to affect it. And so I still think what we're shaping up is essentially a referendum on Trump, the same way that in 2010, it was a referendum on Barack Obama. Republicans tricked themselves by saying this is a referendum on Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, that it was about that specific vote, whatever. No, it was a referendum on President Obama, and a bunch of Americans just didn't like how they felt like they were treated that first 2 years. And I think that you're going to see a similar thing. This talk that Republicans might hold the House, they're still clinging to those hopes, and every once in a while you'll see a little data point that gives them a little light. But I'd say I would not be surprised if Democrats end up winning 40, 50, even 60 seats. I could see a total running of the table. It is possible it could be more narrow. It's once again, it's the world of Trump.
Right.
Who knows what's going to happen?
So, Michael, is that an argument then for a government shutdown? Is this sort of President Trump's last stand then?
I don't know if that helps or hurt. I mean, I think that just, the people who love Trump are going to love it. They're going to love that he's doing it over the wall because they care about the wall. People who hate Trump are only going to hate him. No one believes anyone can govern anyway. I love this. We don't want to undermine the sense that Republicans can govern. Well, find the 3 people who believe that, and I'll buy them lunch. So I don't know. To me, the message to Republicans in this Kavanaugh story should remind them that there is, a potential plot twist at every moment. Get the stuff you really want done. Just get it done. Right. Because you can't count on having the House. And then explain, because, believe it or not, some Republicans think what they want to do is good. Right. And so explain why you think it's good. Democrats going to say it's bad, but get stuff done. Don't Michael, this notion, we'll wait.
I have to tell you, our conversation reminds me of that P.J. O'Rourke quote, and excuse me if I butcher it, where he says, Democrats will tell you that government can make you richer or smarter and get rid of the crabgrass in your lawn, and Republicans will tell you government can't do anything for you, then get elected and proceed to prove it. So
exactly right. And I will tell P.J., who's a friend of mine, that you quoted him. He'll be very flattered.
It's my favorite quote of his. All right. Well, Michael Graham, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Giving power to people in Washington is like giving car keys and liquor to teenage boys. That's a P.J. O'Rourke quote. And that's a great one.
Another brilliant piece. All right. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you.